To summer. We're on your side with the full forecast coming up.
And we continue to talk about the devastating damage in Iowa after severe storms brought more tornadoes to parts of that state.
Plus, we take a step back to remember the lives lost on the 13th anniversary of the Joplin, Missouri tornado.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
And we're joined now by JP Dice, and great to have you in the house, JP, joining Tania and I. And I just got to get your take on this, all this active weather happening.
You know, it is unusual when you see this much active weather. We haven't seen that much here, but you're talking about the Midwest and out toward Texas. Last week, the storm in Houston, you saw the high rises. There were so many windows that were knocked out with those high winds. It's been insanely active.
It really has. I mean, there were like almost 200,000 customers still without power as of Monday.
Yeah. And, you know, we've had some cases where it hasn't been far from here. You get into the Tennessee Valley and on into Tennessee, and been some pretty wicked weather there, too.
Yeah, and I'll get your take on this, and Tania and JP jump in here. You know, we've got the weather calendar. You know, we put some thought into this, and as we bring that up here, we'll go to our graphics. You'll see that the seasonality at this time of the year, you know, we kind of go from that tornado scare into the humid weather and those scattered storms.
I love the false spring and burning up, although the way it's been lately, we're going to be 90s this weekend. We may have to put some of those where they're happening at the same time.
That's exactly correct. And we have hurricane season, of course, around the corner that we're going to talk about. But the big story here is going to be some of this hot weather, as JP noted, going into this weekend. Those afternoon highs around 90, but the feels-like temperature will be topping 90 degrees. Right now, radar showing a few showers to the north. Most areas staying rain-free for tonight. We've had storms moving across Tennessee. There's a severe thunderstorm watch. Notice how we have this cluster of storms to the north and another area of storms back to the west. We're going to see something like this later on this week. We'll see these pockets of storms that develop. I'm thinking Friday we might see something like this that will move in from the north. That's the next big thing for us, watching Friday for some of those storms to drop in. At the moment, we're not seeing a lot here locally. We did have a couple sprinkles there across northwest areas, but you see these storms and showers to the west. Some of this, a lot of this is going to weaken, but some of it may hold together long enough to reach our northwest areas tonight. So just can't rule out a little bit of rain again for these areas from near Fayette, Jasper, Coleman, points north, giving you that first alert. So I think Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, we stay dry, but we'll be watching those areas. At the moment, the greatest severe outlook or risk for severe weather back to the north, and you can see another level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk for areas back to the northwest. Tomorrow still looks like another severe risk ramping up back to the north and west of us. And then as we move ahead into Thursday, or that should say more into Friday, we'll start to see that risk becoming rather marginal to the north. I still think for us, any storm that develops Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday could be strong to severe. We're getting into that time of the year, so we'll have to watch out there. Notice we have that isolated rain chance tonight, the building heat, and then those weekend storms. At this point, let's bring in that Memorial Day weekend forecast, and looks like those temperatures, again, I mentioned close to 90. The heat index will be topping 95 degrees. And let me go to that. I wanted to show you here. We updated the rain chance, and it looks like into Saturday and Sunday there, you can see highs going from 88 to 91, but feeling more like 95 to near 100. And then Sunday, that 60% chance of rain, mostly for areas going into the evening. But as we'll talk more about the 7-day coming up, but as that severe weather continues to move across parts of the country, Fox News' Chris DeMeo reports on the latest in Iowa as recovery efforts intensify after the tornadoes.
The trail of devastation is extensive across storm-battered Iowa after severe weather spawned several tornadoes throughout Tuesday. Wow! Law enforcement confirming multiple deaths and injuries in the hard-hit town of Greenfield, where a powerful twister decimated homes and businesses, toppled trees, and knocked out power as residents ran for cover. Many are now trying to salvage whatever belongings weren't destroyed or blown away.
If there are any family members or friends that are unable to reach any loved ones, we do encourage people to reach out to our Iowa Department of Public Safety Storm Lake State Radio Communications Center.
Meanwhile, a little further south near the town of Prescott, an apparent tornado is being blamed for demolishing several 250-foot tall wind turbines. These storms come after much of the mid and southwest have already been impacted by large weather events in recent weeks. But with the country still in the middle of tornado season, experts warn many people aren't in the clear yet.
Working with your family or your friends to know where is that spot you're going to go when a warning is issued. Think about it now before you have to act on it.
But as technology evolves, Andrew Winters of the University of Colorado Boulder says many people aren't relying on traditional ways of getting their storm warnings. Besides encouraging people to follow local and national weather accounts on social media, Winters says forecasters need to also advance their methods of communication.
So that means including warnings and watches in multiple languages.
Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
All right, and according to the National Weather Service in Des Moines, storm survey teams have confirmed at least EF3 damage out of the Greenfield tornado. Additional damage evaluation is set to continue over the coming days. Tania?
Thanks, Wes. These tornadoes come just a day shy of the devastating tornado that impacted Joplin, Missouri 13 years ago today. This tornado is one of the deadliest in the country in over 60 years and the 7th deadliest on record. 161 people were killed and more than 1,000 others were injured. The tornado was up to a mile wide with winds passing 200 miles per hour. It traveled for 6 miles through the middle of Joplin. Much of the city's south side was leveled with churches, schools, businesses, and homes reduced to ruins. And the threat of severe weather continues today from as far as Texas all the way to New York. Tens of millions of people along a 1,500-mile stretch will experience severe weather, as we can see on this First Alert AccuTrack screenshot here. The risk isn't as high as what was experienced yesterday, but portions of these states could see large hail and potentially damaging wind gusts. Tornadoes are also possible, but the threat is now lower. And another storm taking place across Illinois, but not from rain. A dust storm on Tuesday afternoon prompted the shutdown of both Interstate 55 and 74 in Illinois. Near zero visibility was reported on parts of the interstates as dust blew from farm fields. The high winds also causing hazardous travel for high-profile vehicles. This dust storm comes about a year after one on I-55 caused a massive pileup crash south of Springfield. But in 30 seconds, we take a check on our radar as well as talk about the impacts of turbulence on air travel. Don't go anywhere. First Alert Weather Extra. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into Weather Extra. If you have a trip planned to the coast over the weekend, you can see the rip current risk is going to stay low through Saturday, but in the moderate range there on Sunday. That water temperature is starting to heat up out there, and that's the main thing that drives the hurricane season. That's why we see that season run from roughly June 1st right on through the end of November out there. But those temperatures really starting to ramp up there, and the temperatures, daytime highs, you can see in the 80s. Saturday and Sunday overnight lows in the 70s, but looks like over the next few days, looks like plenty of sunshine out there. Certainly grab the shades and the sunscreen. And if you are going to be heading out to the Hoover Met for some baseball, we'll have that forecast coming up as well. And check out this new footage of a tornado that traveled earlier this week across parts of Kansas. This was more of that video and pictures coming in from Ryan Carty. This was in Russell, Kansas, but just some incredible video there from the planes. And we've just been seeing so many photos, so many videos like this as storms have moved across the middle part of the country and, of course, the Midwest yesterday and last night. Now we're tracking those storms as they move closer to our region.
And we are talking about some weather around the world. We're going to take you to a flight. This was a couple of days ago. This was a Singapore airline flight that experienced some severe turbulence. It was a Boeing 777, and on that flight there was one fatality and over 30 people injured. The airplane apparently dropped 6,000 feet in about 3 minutes of time. The airplane had to divert and head back to Bangkok. Turbulence can happen at any phase of flight. That's why you often hear keep the seatbelt on. That's for good reason. As aircraft pilots, we never take the seatbelt off. You should always keep that seatbelt on. I want to show you something. This is a map here. It looks a little bit unusual, but this is one of the turbulence forecast maps that we use when planning flights. This actually will show you the turbulence at different layers of the atmosphere. So where the airplanes fly upwards of 30, 40,000 feet, you can see where we are looking at some severe turbulence reports right here across the Midwest, exactly where some of that rough weather is today. There are many types of turbulence, and you have turbulence associated with thunderstorm activity. This can usually be avoided by flying around the storms. You also have turbulence caused by mountain waves. How many times have you flown from coast to coast and you fly over the Rockies and it starts getting pretty bumpy? That is because of the turbulence created by those mountain waves. And then you have turbulence that is formed from crossing near a frontal boundary. This is called a frontal turbulence, often caused by a cold front. Most of the time turbulence can be forecast, but there are times we have something called clear air turbulence, and that often happens in the upper 30s to lower 40s in terms of the altitude. And that clear air turbulence, that's the ones that sometimes catch us by surprise. Some of the most severe turbulence I've ever experienced happened when there was not a cloud in the sky. So again, the rule here, keep that seatbelt on at all times unless you're making that brief trip to the restroom or something like that. So just wanted to keep you updated on what goes on kind of behind the scenes when we are forecasting that turbulence and what pilots look at. This all comes from the Aviation Forecast Center out in Kansas City. And speaking of forecasting, in this week's Degree of Science, Brady Taylor talks with the University of Oklahoma about a groundbreaking new weather radar that could potentially increase how fast we receive updated radar data.
What kind of technology are we using currently when it comes to radars across the country?
Well, I mean, most people depend on the Weather Service NextRad radars, which are large dish-based systems. So it's sort of like your satellite dish. It's a big dish that's used to focus radio waves onto certain parts of the storm. And then the way that you look at different parts of the storm is by mechanically moving this large dish around. The dish is about 8.5 meters in diameter. So because it's so large, it takes some time to rotate and actually see all parts of the storm.
A new type of technology you are pulling into this is the phased array technology. What exactly is that?
Now, I mentioned the 8.5 meter dish mechanical that they have mechanically steer. With a phased array, you're basically trying to mimic a dish, the way a dish focuses radio waves, but you do it by having thousands of individual elements. And so because it's made up of 1,000 elements, you can send signals to those 1,000 elements in a certain way so that you can steer the beam electronically without moving it. And the great thing about that is you can steer the beam very quickly, like from one part of the sky to the other in a millisecond.
So with the current NextRad radars, most people, I mean, you're looking 3 to 5 minutes by the time the radar does the scan and everything. How fast are we talking the data could be updated with this new Horse radar?
With a Horus type radar system, you could get updates every few seconds. Well, most people are used to looking at some phone app and looking at the Weather Service radar data, and you get an update of that image, every 4 to 5 minutes. But if we had phased array technology that could also have dual polarization, anytime you look at your phone, it would always be refreshed. You might have seen pictures of it. It's a flat plate, and that flat plate can view about 90 degrees in azimuth angle. so sort of one side of the storm. If you so we can reposition the array to wherever the storm is, or ultimately you may want 4 faces of a phased array. So if you have 4 faces, of course you can cover 360 degrees.
Very impressive. Those type of radars have been used for decades on naval warships. Don't go anywhere. We will continue to talk more about your holiday weekend forecast, as well as take you beyond the 7-day to some warmer weather, if not hotter weather. Stay tuned for more of First Alert Weather Extra. Back in just a few minutes.
Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. We've had some nice weather overall. If we can just keep these temperatures right where they're at and not much hotter, but you know that extreme heat's going to start to kick in. 85 though right now, not too bad here. Live look from Pier 43 here at Lake Tuscaloosa. We go to the other side of the state. We're showing 82 in Jacksonville. There have been some clouds moving in, and we talked about that yesterday. It's actually clouds us off that stormy weather that's back to the north of us. So some of these clouds will stick around here for this evening. But 85 in Hoover, those temperatures starting to improve. We got the SEC baseball tournament happening in Hoover, and just an update on that forecast tomorrow. I still think we're going to be dry during the day. I know the forecast still has that small chance of a shower, pop-up shower in there for Thursday, but actually I think the better chance of seeing anything with respect to Thursday is going to be overnight and early tomorrow morning as we track some of these storms back to the northwest of us. The radar showing we might actually have perhaps a sprinkle maybe trying to fall in the parts of Coleman County, but most of us at the moment dry. This is the tail end of that complex of storms. It's now pushed on through the Nashville area, now getting closer to places like Knoxville, Tennessee, there south of Murfreesboro. Some big lightning producers. That's where the active storm track, you can see those storms are moving to the north. That's been located. Back to the west, though, there's more storms, another severe thunderstorm watch, and a lot of this is going to once again struggle as it moves closer to us. However, later on tonight, it may hang on long enough to where we get an isolated shower, maybe a thunderstorm over those far northwest areas, but that's where the rain chance will stay rather limited here for the overnight and into tomorrow. But out the door tomorrow morning, we'll stop it right here close to 7, 8 o'clock. You can see 70s early in the day, maybe a few early morning low clouds around, but that's quickly going to give way to a cloud sunshine mix, and it's going to be mostly sunny at times into the afternoon. Notice we clear out during the evening. I want to take this on into Friday because that's the next big thing. See how we start to see some of those storms. We're just gradually seeing that storm track move south and closer to our area, and by Friday, we'll really need to be alert for some of those passing showers and thunderstorms. Again, not a washout, but as you can see, maybe in the morning we could have maybe an isolated storm out there, but we'll really have to watch it later in the day as we start to see the flow pattern a bit more northwesterly. I think some storms could drop in from the north. Notice how on Friday we're showing 91 here in Tuscaloosa, 85 Hamilton, Demopolis around 91, upper 80s here in East Alabama, but see how those storms drop in there from northwest to southeast. Some of those could be strong to severe, so we'll have to watch out. I think that could happen again Sunday and Monday as well, but very typical setup for this time of the year with those scattered storms coming back for Memorial Day weekend. But we're getting a better handle there. Certainly, as we can see on Friday, looks like those chances will go up later in the day. So right now what we want to do is go beyond the 7-day forecast. We'll go to meteorologist Tania Michelle. And Tania, I know you've been working on some of that long-range data, and I see below average. So that's more of a temperature, right?
Yes, yes. We're going to see more rain in the forecast. But as far as us being hotter, I do think we're going to feel hotter, but we may not be as hot on our average temperature. So when we say near average, sorry guys, I'm going to fix my shoe here. Okay, there we go. When we say more near average or below average, these are based on the temperatures that we would usually see during this time of the year. So looking across the U.S., May 28th through June 1st, looks like portions along the West Coast and our states to the west could be seeing more above average temperatures. But for us across central Alabama and really Alabama as a whole, from central Alabama to North Alabama, more below average temperatures are expected for the end of May, beginning of June. Along the coast, though, could already be seeing those above average temperatures. Our 6 to 10 day rainfall outlook, May 28th through June 1st, shows that across central Alabama, we could be seeing more below average rainfall. So that's just what this model is showing. Okay, guys, so just keep that in mind. Looking at temperatures, though, 6 to 15 days out, May 28th through June 6th. Notice, though, this model shows more above average temperatures. Our average is in the low 80s. It's expecting temperatures to reach mid to upper 80s and maybe some cooler temperatures as we approach the first days of June. I'm not believing those temperatures in the upper 60s, low 70s. I don't know about that, guys, but let's look at those overnight temperatures. Overnight temps still looking above average in the low 60s. We've got some days hanging in the low 60s, some days maybe upper 60s, but we could see anywhere between near average to slightly above average at times. That's the forecast that I'm giving you all. As far as rain chances, the end of this month, early June, looking at possibly some drier weather in the forecast, but we look to be a little more unstable as we bring in the first few days of June. Could see some showers and storms just around June 2nd. Then we bring in June 3rd, some more rain and possible thunderstorm activity, another disturbance pushes through. And then June 5th, we're likely going to be starting to dry out again. So things can and possibly will change as we move beyond the 7-day. We'll continue to keep you updated here, but just keep in mind, these are just forecasts. These are predictions. So once again, things can and possibly will change in the days ahead. So you have to stay weather aware and alert. But you're watching First Alert Weather Extra. We'll be back right here after the break. Well, welcome back in. Here are some viewer photos. This one is from my twin, just kidding, but her name might be Tania Lawley. This is a sun halo at Fort Morgan.
If you ever see those sun halos, always a sign that there's some moisture up there. A lot of times the high level clouds all ice.
Ice crystals, yeah.
Oh, this one's pretty too, guys. Garland, Brock, Logan Martin Lake, and another one. Oh, love the outdoors. John Burton. This is from Cherokee Rock Garden.
What a view, huh?
I've been spending some time out on Logan Martin. I need to send you some pictures.
Yeah, send us some of those photos. You know what? We need to do a segment out there, you know, we call it Cruising on the Lake with JP.
We'll do it on the boat.
There we go. There we go. Hey, you get the extra right here.
That is the extra, the big plus.
All right. Hey, we'll have updates tonight on the rain chances. See you at